Hello my friends, it's been quite the week. We had the showcase for the final shape, in which we got to see the new destination, get an idea of the story, and have a glimpse at Bungie's vision for the future of the franchise. At the same time, we have a new season, which I hope that you're all enjoying. I have a lot to say about the final shape, a lot that I want to say, and things that I want to see, what I'm nervous about, and overall how I expect things to go regardless of what I do or don't want. But as you can see, that's not what we'll be talking about today. No. In this video, I want to tell you all about the Gardener, her origin, what she wants, her goals, her history, and ultimately what I believe her fate will be, either in the final shape or beyond. With all of that being said, let's get into it. You cannot have one without the other. This is what I always say about the Gardener and the Winnower, particularly when I used to argue that the Winnower did in fact exist, and I still do. Although, that's becoming less and less necessary, isn't it? This is the simple truth. There is far more evidence that the Gardener exists than the Winnower. Why? I believe it's for two reasons. The first and easiest one is the Gardener's connection to the Traveler, and the Traveler is literally with us all the time. It makes sense that we'd have more lore about the Traveler, and by extension the Gardener, than a being who is a bajillion miles away. The second is that in D1, Bungie infamously had a hard time figuring out what they wanted the darkness to be after the original story lead, Joseph Staten, left. When I look at The Witness, I don't just see an introduction to the Pyramid Race. I see modern Bungie trying to decide if they want to abandon the old narrative for their own creation, or if they should keep the old concepts and characters relevant. And in the end, I believe they did both. And so, for several years, we were in a period where many argued that the Witness was the Winnower, or that the Winnower didn't exist or had been retconned. And as I said, you cannot have one character without the other. Because in the end, there is strong evidence, if not certainty, that the Gardener exists, and if she exists, then the Winnower must as well. So, to begin, who is the Gardener? Who do I believe that she is? I'll just give you my off-the-cuff definition. I believe that the Gardener is the true master of the force that is the light. I believe that she, alongside the Winnower, created the universes, including the one that Destiny takes place in. I believe that her purpose is to enhance life, and ultimately, to create a universe where everything can coexist in peace and live forever. Life is on easy mode, and PvP is turned off. I believe that due to her inherently peaceful nature, she is prone to constantly lose against the Winnower, and so has been getting her butt kicked since the dawn of time. Literally. And finally, I believe that she is using us, the Guardians, as her final argument against the Winnower, that when incredible reality-defying beings are made, they will, without external influence, choose to live by the Gardener's logic rather than the Winnower's sword logic. Now, I'm not going to debate whether or not the Gardener is real in this video. I know I could, but at this point, it is simply not an argument. There is so much evidence out there, and I've already talked about so much of it. The Gardener is real, and if you don't want her to be real, you need to claim that there is vital lore being thrown out of the window. And I'll say this later, but for a lot of these points and these characters, to prove they don't exist, the burden of proof is on you. I'll give you some examples. Destiny 1, Rasputin talks about the gardener losing in the collapse, not the traveler, and refers to her as a she. And it makes sense when you realize that all the art of this character is probably of the gardener. And even in Shadowkeep, when a character who is possessed by most likely the Winnower writes in the journal you get with the collector's edition of that expansion, you get this message: she will bow to me. Who could this she possibly be other than the gardener? So the idea that there is a character separate from the traveler and that they present themselves as female is not scrapped lore, or old lore for that matter. The Books of Sorrow, the traveler isn't referred to as the sky or light, but as the sky's bait star, saying that it is a tool or a weapon of the light. Again, and I know this is like the third time I've used this example in recent videos, but in a dream that Saint 14 had, this is from Beyond Light lore, in his exo dream, a woman who I strongly believe to be the gardener took control of it and spoke to Saint as if she were his mother. Not just his mother, but a mother to all light bearers, attributing his desire and warlike nature to his father, to our father. Okay, I know I'm skimming through these examples and this quote-unquote evidence quite a bit, but listen, I don't like repeating myself, or more importantly, wasting your time. If you want the full context of a lot of the stuff that I've talked about, I would watch this video about the fall of the Golden Age that the Witnesses race had, and then, of course, the one about the Winnower. And I know that it's about the Winnower, but like I said, these two characters are very much connected, and so, yeah, you'll have some gardener lore in there as well. Okay, so I've told you who I believe the gardener to be, and in a very brief way, what she wants. Now, I want to go into a bit more detail about her history and all of that. And I want to take you through everything that I am aware of when it comes to this character. The gardener as a character began in the original garden, a place that might possibly be what we see in the final shape, the Pale Heart. I don't know, maybe. She, and presumably the garden, were created by sheer mathematical chance, so there's no implications of a higher being or a creator. She lived before any of the universes existed, and she wasn't alone. With her existed a being called the Winnower. They were not friends, and they were not enemies. They were simply beings who existed to serve their purposes. The gardener's purpose was simple. She tended to life in the garden and helped it thrive and grow. In the evening, the Winnower would cull the life that was weak or already dying. This, at their core, is who they are. And I know the gardener has many human traits to her, especially if she does present as a woman, showing emotions, opinions, and so on, but I don't see her as a person. She is a being with one purpose, same as the Winnower. And like I said in the Winnower video, I believe that this purpose is all they know, and quite frankly, it's all they are good for. In their free time, the two would play a game. Now, if you watched my Winnower video, you're probably groaning, "Oh no, we've already been through this, please stop." And then if you know the lore, which I'm assuming, and many of you probably watching this do, then you're probably going, "No, come on, I've read this lore, I've heard it from Bife, I've heard it from Mylan, please stop." Okay, rest assured, I'm not going to read any lore pages, and I'm not going to drag things out. Okay, this is the quickest summary that I can give you of what is known as the Flower Game. So you've got this grid. Wait, grid? What? No, grid. Sorry. You've got this grid with a bunch of flowers. And the whole point of the game was to see how each of the flowers would end up. Depending on a flower's actions, who its neighbors were, their actions, and its place in the grid, etc., it would either live or die. And the game always ended the same way, with all but one pattern dying. And this pattern existed purely to survive, and then would destroy anything that it needed to, or got in its way. And yeah, many people believe that this pattern became the Vex. I used to 100% believe this, but a friend of mine recently gave me his own theory, and it's made me think quite a bit, I'll tell you that. The gardener became bored of this ending really quickly. I mean, she wants everything to live, and everything is pretty much dying. She never says it outright, but my guess is she would want an ending where all the flowers lived. She announced to the winnower that she was going to change the rules of the game so that other flowers could have a chance at winning. The winnower was not happy with this at all, as he was fine with the natural and continuous end of the game, and felt that her tampering with it would only cause suffering and chaos. Okay, I'm going to be transparent with you. If you've watched my winnower video, and if you haven't noticed already, I'm pretty much just ripping this from that. I don't really know a better way of telling this than that, so I do apologize, but I'm just gonna, use this part and kind of explain everything to the best of my ability, and then we'll move on. The winnower and the gardener ultimately did two things, and it's important that we distinguish the two from each other. First of all, they became part of the game, and second, they created the universes. The key thing that you need to understand, okay, let's just, everybody, close off that tab and come back here. Thank you, okay. The key thing that you need to understand is that one of these actions was intentional on both sides, and the other was an accident. The two characters became parts of the game as a result of their argument, so the gardener wanted to guarantee that the game would end differently, right? And so she put herself into the game as a force that gave power and strength to life that might normally get nuked otherwise. And the winnower became part of the game pretty much to oppose the gardener, to see that the game ended the same way it always had. And they would achieve this by doing the same thing that they had always done, by being a winnower. Except instead of just culling weak life, they were also going out of their way to cull life positively affected by the gardener. So to make this as simple as possible, this is my interpretation. The winnower and gardener, they have one purpose ingrained in them, and so they became parts of the game and used their purposes to get the end of the game that they wanted, to try and get that ending that they wanted. So if the gardener got her way, the game would begin to end differently. She'd give power-ups to patterns, and there would be a bit more unpredictability involved. And if the winnower won, then the game would just end the same way every single time, presumably with only that one pattern winning because it was the strongest. And I see this happening by him using his purpose to kill or undo any life that had been changed by the gardener. And this brings us to point number 2. The winnower attacked the gardener, and they fought in the garden. The clash of two beings, as powerful as them, in a place where life and death were so dependent on their actions, caused the universes to be born. It's the equivalent of the Big Bang. The gardener, the winnower, and the original pattern that normally won the game ended up in the universe of destiny. Unlucky. This action was an accident. The gardener was not prepared to fight the winnower, and the gardener did not agree to fight the winnower. Both of them also didn't know what the consequences of their fight would be, as they had never fought before. Now, they're in a brand new universe, where all of reality is held together by their combined power, the light and the darkness. And there's tons of life being born, free to live however it wants. And the winning pattern is no longer the winning pattern, because this is a new grid and a new game with new rules and two very powerful new players. The Vex, if they were that pattern, they therefore stopped being the guaranteed final shape once the rules of the game had changed. I'm not saying it's impossible for them to win, we know they're not going to win, but I'm simply saying that once it was set in stone, but now it isn't. Unlucky. The gardener gets straight to work, boosting different races and giving them golden ages, blah blah blah. You already know. And I'm sure that the creation of the Traveler happened somewhere in this first era. But there's no information on that, so that's just my guess, okay? Now meanwhile, the winnower's goal completely changes, and I go into great detail about that in my other video. That was the origin of the gardener, what her purpose is, and by extension, her goals. We're at the point now where the Destiny universe exists, Nice. And the Gardener and Winnower are running around and trying to see that the life in the universe exists under their respective logics. What that really means is that the Gardener is going around creating golden ages, and the Winnower is hurrying after her trying to clean up the messes that she's making. It's a constant game of cat and mouse, and although the Winnower by all standards seems to be the stronger being, for some reason, the Gardener always manages to elude being outright captured or destroyed. And that might be because of the Traveler. It might be because the golden ages that she created were able to hold off the darkness long enough for her to run away. But yeah, that's just kind of how it was. The next piece of information and topic that we will talk about concerning the Gardener is, of course, her giving a golden age to the Pyramid race. I've already made a video all about this golden age, but I want to cover it again and add some extra details. First of all, this was an extremely unique golden age. This is the only golden age that I know of where the race who got the golden age discovered and helped the Traveler, not the other way around. The Traveler didn't come to the Pyramid race and just hover there and bless them. Who knows how long it would have remained buried if they hadn't come and dug it out. And adding to this point is the fact that the Traveler wasn't there willingly. I strongly believe that it got its butt kicked. The real question is who. And I'll get into it later, but I don't believe it was the Worm Boys. No, I think this was the Winnower himself. I just can't see there being any other entity or character existing during this time. If I had to guess, and at this point, this is me making this up, okay? My guess is the Traveler got into a fight, was beaten, and it barely managed to escape. That, or it was left for dead, which I don't see the Winnower doing, but who knows. Oh man, I just had this insane thought. Imagine if the Winnower purposefully let the Traveler live. In order to corrupt the race, it would inevitably ascend there. Oh, that'd be so cool, dude. But anyway, either way, the Traveler, in my opinion, got its butt kicked. And this again would show that 9 out of 10 times, the Winnower or Darkness will usually win in a straight up fight. Okay, so the Pyramid race, they get their golden age, and two things happen. They get the actual light, and the Traveler stuck around for way longer than normal. We know that they had the light, not just from what I have found out over the years that became part of my core theory, not just because Savathun said they had it, but also from what we see by looking at the radio mast and resonance and all that other stuff. It's Pyramid tech that incorporates the light, at least from what I see and remember anyway. Now, this isn't something that every golden age gets, okay? I mean, we didn't get the light during our golden age. I wish we did. And the only similar instance that I can find is the Harmony from the Books of Sorrow, who had the gift mast. It was an artifact from the Traveler that was imbued with the light. The question that you have to ask is why? Why give the light to this race? Was it thanks for them helping the Traveler? Was this one of the very first golden ages and the Traveler didn't know any better? I don't know. But I do believe that this was a mistake that the Traveler would learn from the hard way. The second point is that the Traveler stayed there longer than usual, and I do believe that this was the case. Usually, when a golden age happens, a collapse isn't too far behind. But at this time, the Hive didn't exist, and neither did the Witness or the Black Fleet. And so that left the Winnower the job of going around and manually wiping everything out. So maybe the Gardener had more time to breathe between collapses, or maybe this was all part of a greater plan from the Winnower. My main point is this though. I think that sticking around with the Pyramid race was another big mistake on the Gardener's end, and let me tell you why. The Gardener gave the Pyramid race the light, and by her sticking around, as they experimented and created new technology, they had the source of their power as a reference point that they could always go back to. And that's really why I believe they were able to create Resonance, which was either a knockoff or darker version of the blue Resonance that the Traveler has. It's why I believe the Pyramid ships and their shielding technology is as insanely powerful as they are. In the end, I truly believe that if the Traveler had just left after giving them their golden age, they would have been strong, sure, but not this strong. I said it before, but remember, not only did they destroy their own golden age, but even though it was cut short, the Pyramid race have remained the most powerful faction for thousands and thousands of years, if not longer. The second reason sticking around was a bad idea was because it made the whole meaning of life problem worse. The Pyramid race became bored of their monotonous existence and felt that they had no true purpose or reason to exist. And what's more is that they eventually extended this belief to all life in the universe. The fact that their silent god was just sitting there and ignoring them must have surely made things worse. Our God of life has given us a paradise, but what is it for? We pray for answers and we get nothing. We use the power it has given us to create powerful ships and technologies, and they provide no answer. We become more and more powerful each year, and still nothing. What is it all for? What are we even working towards? What is the point of our existence? And so, the betrayal happened. The Pyramid race found the veil, and were in my opinion manipulated by the Winnower. And from that moment on, everything changed. The Gardener would be forced to flee, and this time she would have her most powerful creation hunting her down. Because remember, they destroyed their golden age, but they got to keep all the knowledge and technology. If she, for some reason, stopped for too long, if she was caught, it was GG. Because as we have seen, once the Witness gets inside the Traveler, there's seemingly nothing the Gardener can do but hide and call for help. More like scream for help if you believe Amaru. Chronologically, the next chapter of the Gardener's story brings us to the creation of the Hive. The Traveler sought to give a golden age to one of the races on Fundament, if not all of them. But after the Witness manipulated both the Proto-Hive and the Worm Gods, the Hive would be created. And this would be when the tide truly turned in the Winnower's favor. The Hive changed everything. Their numbers, the power of their three gods, their link to the darkness, Oryx's eventual ability to take. I would argue that the Hive destroyed more golden ages than the Black Fleet or Winnower ever did. Because remember, the Black Fleet doesn't care about golden ages. They just want the Traveler. Even in this season, we learn that the Witness wants to win without fighting. But the war is all there is, right? That's what the Winnower said. No. We got 100% confirmation that the Witness's final shape is not the same as the Winnower's final shape. They have two separate agendas. The Witness seemingly has all this power and freedom, but they are a dog on a leash, and the collapse proved that. But the Hive, the Hive love war. They need it. Not just because the sword logic is their religion, but because the worms within force them to fight. And so while the Black Fleet has always had its own agenda, even in Witch Queen this was said, the Hive were truly the foot soldiers of the Winnower. And this allowed the Witness to focus on the Traveler, applying the pressure to it as a very valid threat, and the Winnower to have all the Golden Ages destroyed at an acceptable rate through the Hive. What this also did was make a final confrontation inevitable, because there was no Golden Age that could beat the Hive, and if they somehow did, they got wrecked by the Black Fleet, although I actually disagree that the Pyramids really destroyed Golden Ages, and if you look at this season, you'll actually know why. And if somehow they beat the Black Fleet, which would never ever happen, they would meet the Winnower. Yeah, unlucky. It's basically the Mr. Incredible meme, where if the superhero beats the one droid, the next one's gonna get him. That's kind of how it went. So in reality, everything that the Gardener was doing was for nothing, and she knew it. She could theoretically go and give a golden age to every species in the universe, and in the end she'd look back, and the Darkness Trinity would be right there behind her, with the dead universe behind them, saying, yeah, good job, now die. With all of this in mind, I believe that our system was that final stand, and I'm going to tell you why. Fast forward a long time, and the Traveler reaches our system. Instead of just coming to Earth, she stops at each planet of the system and terraforms it along the way. We make first contact on Mars, and from there our golden age begins. Our lifespan is tripled, our technology advanced, and we travel to the worlds the Traveler terraformed for us and colonized them. Although the Traveler never spoke to us during our golden age, there is a slight chance that the Gardener appeared to the astronauts on Mars. Although yes, that whole thing might have been scrapped. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, in the original plan for the first cutscene of Destiny 1, the Gardener meets the astronauts on Mars before they reach the Traveler. This would confirm that she takes the form of a woman, that she is the Veiled Woman, and that she is not the actual Traveler. As she says, the Traveler is coming, not I am. But yeah, that plan was scrapped, so who knows. I thought I'd let you know anyway. Also, look at this picture. I think it is really clear that the Veiled Woman statues are similar to this. Let me know. Actually, I have a request. I would very much like it if as many people as possible, and that includes you, Mr. Multitasker, who isn't watching the video, by the way. I would really like it if as many of you as possible could actually tell me who you think the Veiled Woman statues are of. And more importantly, can you tell me why you think that? Comment your thoughts so that I can have an idea of what theories everybody has. Nice. Before I get to the collapse, I do want to make another point. I believe that the Traveler terraforming the other worlds was not just the Gardener being nice. I believe, and this was a theory that some scholars in the Destiny universe had, that the Gardener gave us a golden age, yes, but did it in a way that allowed our system to be a bastion or buffer against the enemy she knew that was coming. And if you believe that the Pyramid Race came from ancient Earth, then it makes even more sense. Let's fight fire with fire. I think there's a good chance that she came to our system and decided, this is where I'm going to make my final stand. And I mean, the Winnower kind of does say as much in Unveiling, but yeah. In the end, it didn't do her any good, but it did make us really powerful. But that power would be really short-lived. It began on the moon. At the end of our golden age, scientists on the moon drilled and discovered technology from the Pyramid Race that had been there for thousands of years. The artifact they found was revealed to be a transceiver, sending a signal to something far beyond known space, and this ended up being the Black Fleet. It never benefited the scientists at all, but what it did do was give the other side a window into our golden age, and really, it told them where the Traveler was. Think about it. The pyramids were in our system ages ago, and if you think about it, there's no reason for the pyramids to be that close to Earth unless the Traveler was in our system. And if the Traveler was there and they were there and there wasn't a collapse of some kind, then it must have been for a different reason altogether. I wonder what that might have been. They were in our system, and at that point, we were not a spacefaring species, not truly, and the planets of our system were certainly not terraformed. So when the Pyramid Race sees humanity of the 21st century with super advanced technology, lifespans that are tripled, and a cozy terraformed system, yep, they knew exactly what was going on. And when the leader of the scientists finally communed with the relic through meditation, she became possessed and wrote 5 words in her journal: "She will bow to me." The end was on its way. The pyramids got to our system first, beelining it for Io, where the Traveler was at the time. You had Nezarec lead the Black Fleet, with any other disciples in tow, desperate to make that link with the Veil to win as soon as possible. And you had the Hive come in and take over the moon and most likely attack other colonies as well, like Mars for example. And behind them all came the Winnower, the one who made the stars go out, the being who created gravity anomalies on a scale never seen again in the lore, and the character who I believe Eris this season refers to as the Deathless One, the wielder of the Eternal Sword. The Winnower beat the Gardener in a 1v1, and pinned down on Earth within the Traveler, the Gardener finally made her choice. The Traveler went dormant and created the ghosts, which in turn created the Guardians. Without saying a word, the Gardener presented them as her argument to the Winnower, effectively saying that these guys are proof that my logic is not just right. It is the natural way of the universe, and this goes all the way back to the original Garden, because remember, the whole argument that the Winnower made against the Gardener changing the rules of the game was that, hey, this is not natural. You are changing things to be something unnatural, and this will cause suffering and chaos. Now, in this universe, the Gardener presents us, and she said, not only are they going to prove that my logic is right, but my logic is the natural way, not yours. And at this moment, this is when the logic and the goal of the Winnower separated from that of the Witness. The Winnower accepted this challenge from the Gardener and left, content to watch as this new version of humanity grew and gradually formed their own ideology. And in time, he would return and attempt to have us join him. For was his way not truly right? And regardless of right or wrong, was he not truly the winning side? The Winnower knew all the way back then that in the end, having the Gardener's proof that he was wrong join him was even better than just outright destroying the Traveler or killing the Gardener. He didn't just want to stab with the first knife, he wanted to twist it. But the Witness wants a final shape that is completely different. The Witness doesn't want to win this continued version of the flower game that these two gods have been playing, it wants to stop it for good. It doesn't care about us, not in the way the Winnower does. It doesn't care if we live or die. It doesn't care about ideology. And I think it's ironic that the so-called Child of Darkness preaches salvation, which goes against the sword logic, doesn't it? The Witness, and by extension, the Pyramid Race, had given up everything to achieve what they believed their grand purpose was. And in the end, at this moment of truth, the Winnower turned to them and said, "Lol, I don't care." From this point on, things go badly for the Witness. The Winnower straight up leaves. Nezarec is killed, and his ship stays on the moon, and the veil gets stolen, meaning that even if they wanted to, the Witness couldn't get what they wanted. And again, because they want to win without fighting, and they aren't true to the sword logic, the Witness lets humanity live, and leaves with what's left of the Black Fleet. And as for the Hive, well, we know that Crota stayed on the moon, we know that Savathûn, well, went off wherever. I mean, they did kind of retcon what happened to the Hive in the Books of Sorrow, but it is what it is. And Oryx just continued to follow the Winnower. That's my best guess anyway. From the Dark Age to the Red War, the Traveler is inactive, at most communicating to people through dreams. It did this with the speakers, and you can read about the inner thoughts of the Traveler/Gardener during this time in the Alphi-Lupi lore. Alphi-Lupi? Whatever, it's just whatever. And of course, like I said, a woman who I am confident was the Gardener appeared to Saint in a dream. Now, the Gardener could not act or help us, partially because she was of course recovering from the collapse, which I mean fair enough, but also because of her agreement with the Winnower. We can only prove her right if we act without her influence, otherwise we are not using her logic naturally. Now the Red War was an exception because as once Gaul took the light, it was GG. By the time of Beyond Light, the Traveler had recovered enough to heal the broken shards of the Traveler, and in Lightfall attempted to face the Black Fleet. But we know how that went.
Hey.
Now, the Witness is inside the Traveler, and attempting to gain the light, or rather as I see it, get the Gardener. And by controlling her power, it can use that, and its control over the darkness, or whatever the Winnower, allows, to reshape reality as it wants. The gardener is screwed. She is terrified and needs us to help her. And that is everything from the past to the present. That is the history of the gardener. And now begins the part where I take everything that I know from the lore and I try and guess how I think things will play out in Final Shape. We go inside the Traveler, we beat the Witness, revealing and saving the gardener at the same time. It's that simple. Because one thing is for certain, the mystery of the Veiled Woman statues must come to an end. I've always said that this is the gardener. Well, this is the time to see the truth. There's literally no other expansion where this mystery has a place to be solved. So yeah, I believe that the statues will be revealed to be of the gardener, and that while she is revealed, we will save her from the Witness. Nice. But what will be the fate of the gardener? How will the conflict between her and the Winnower end? Well, I hate to say this, but I don't believe in that closure being within the Final Shape. Okay, this is my prediction, right? Purely based off of my interpretation of the lore and how I've seen the pieces on the board move. I could be right and I could be wrong. Well, this is just for fun. Like I said at the start of this video, Shadowkeep introduced two villains. If we want to talk about Star Wars, we can say the Master and the Apprentice. And for the last, 4-5 years, Bungie has built up the Witness, all while providing solid evidence that the other character is very much real. And let me just say this, to the people who watch these videos, thank you for that by the way, the ones who disagree and then they choose to leave sad insults, you don't believe the Winnower is real, prove it. The burden of proof is on you, not me. In the Final Shape, the story of the Witness will end, 100%. There is no chance that they come out of this alive, or as the Witness as they currently exist. They won't kill the gardener, because to do that would basically make the Winnower win, which is not how he even wants to win, remember? And also because that would allow the Witness to achieve their version of the Final Shape, which is again, not what the Winnower, let's be honest, anybody really wants. So past Final Shape, the Witness is gone, dead, whatever. And the gardener is alive and most likely revealed at this, surely. We have our episodes cleaning up the messes we never finished off. Hey Fickle, come over here, I need to turn you into a gun, thanks. What next? The Winnower. The next year, or years, it should be us preparing for the real enemy. The God of the Darkness, and in the end, there will probably be a Final Shape 2.0. The final shape, which will see us and the gardener face off against the Winnower. I'm just going to say it. The only way for our universe to have a happy ending is for both the Winnower and gardener to either die or be gone. Because if the Winnower wins, we all die eventually, if not just, yeah. And if the gardener wins, we never die, and as the 9 showed Drifter, we suffer for eternity. The Winnower states that the Final Shape is Majestic, and that, by extension, he is Majestic. But he does say that we too are Majestic. We are capable of becoming the Final Shape, and that Final Shape has no gods, just God Slayers. In my opinion, I do not see the gardener dying by our hands. I don't see Bungie doing that. Instead, I can see her sacrificing herself to either destroy the Winnower or severely weaken him. Either way, that is how I really believe the gardener story will end. And if we still have the light and darkness, then we will be the true masters of the light and darkness. Like I said on a stream, I don't care about being right. I care about knowing what is right. I hope you enjoyed this video, finding it either entertaining or informative. What do you think? Did I achieve the final shape that is the Wombo combo? Let me know in the comments below. Also, I hope to stream a lot more. I mean, I have been streaming more often, and I do have a podcast scheduled for next week, so keep your eyes open for that. We always have a fun time and great discussions about the lore in those streams, and you are, of course, more than welcome. Do you want to ask me questions directly? See the progress of my next video? Then my Discord is the place to be, where $1 a month can get you a boatload of... Oh, so that's the wrong lore guy. Okay, sorry, whoops. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. I'll talk to you all real soon. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye. Okay. Oh, hello.
Oh, you cannot see me, but I'll see you.
One more.
Yes.
Oh, time to feed the gun, Feed me. Oh, here we go. Can I go? Come on. You don't see me. There's no way he lives. Oh, I'm so dead. One more, come on.
Yes.